In this video, we will be tasting and talking about batch 94 of the Ecocha Tea Club and YIng Xiang Small Leaf Black Tea from Taiwan. Batch 94 of the Ecocha Tea Club is an YIng Xiang Small Leaf Black Tea. YIng Xiang is the name given to this cultivar that was created by the Tea Research and Extension Station here in Taiwan. It's also referred to as Tai Cha number 20, being the 20th registered cultivar to be published, so to speak, and promoted here in the local tea industry. And the cultivar is designed for mid-elevation and able to handle drier spells as well as colder spells and still remain healthy and productive as a tea tree should. So Tai Cha number 20, it's called YIng Xiang, which can be translated as alluring fragrance or aroma. And that's what it's known for. It's known for its aromatic profile, very distinct, pronounced aromatic quality to this tea, whether it is made as a partially oxidized oolong or in this case as a fully oxidized black tea. Small leaf refers to anything that is not, you guessed it, big leaf. Big leaf or large leaf tea includes Assam, the most commonly cultivated black tea, or commonly cultivated tea tree used to make black tea, as well as Tai Cha number 18, red jade, Shan Cha, or mountain tea as it is called here in Taiwan, which is the indigenous tea tree that grows wild on the island. So all of those are classified as large leaf, a separate species as small leaf. Small leaf came to be, as I understand it, as a result of hundreds of years of tea cultivation in China and various regions cultivating different strains of tea, or at least eventually evolving into different strains of tea, most of which are a small leaf type. We have come to like this particular cultivar, Tai Cha number 20, YIng Xiang. Over many years, our first experience was about 10 years ago, I believe. And we thought it really produced a really nice, balanced quality of Dongding Oolong Tea, a medium oxidation, medium roast. And since then, we've had the opportunity to try it many times over many years. And here we are, inspired to share it again with the Tea Club, made as a black tea. We find that Tai Cha number 20 is closest in character to the Qingxin Oolong tea leaf in terms of producing a balanced and fragrant aromatic profile of tea. I'm thirsty now. I'm going to taste this. I brewed 9.5 grams in this about 180 milliliter teapot. So we're suggesting about a 1 to 18, 1 to 19, maybe 1 to 20, between 1 to 18 and 1 to 20 ratio of leaf to water. So almost 10 grams for about a 180 milliliter teapot. I started at 45 seconds. First brew, second brew, added a little bit of time on the third brew, at least a minute on the fourth brew, and the fifth brew here, maybe a minute and 10 seconds. Okay, taste. I'm repeatedly or continuously struck by how it both has a malty quality and a fruity, tangy quality. When I first brewed this, when I sourced it over a month ago, I remember smelling the brewed leaves and thinking rhubarb for the tangy quality and candied yams, which are popular here in Taiwan, kind of sweet potato cooked in syrup. Because there's something very sweet about the aromatic profile, but there's also something tangy, like maybe plums. But I get something more tart, like rhubarb. strawberry rhubarb perhaps would be also a way to describe the sweet and tangy factors that exist together, both in the aromatic profile and in the flavor profile. Once again, I'm reminded of lychees, which to me are quite sweet but also have a tang to them. The malt is deeper than caramel. It's closer to molasses. Kind of a rich, almost tarry factor in that note. Third, a little bit lighter. The second brew is definitely stronger than the first brew. Now it's coming down a little bit. More tang. I think that's what strikes me the most in terms of small leaf black tea in general, but particularly from this YIng Xiang and this particular batch, which I should note was picked at an immature stage, 38 days. Typically it grows for about 50 days. But this was the second flush, so it grew through June and was picked in July. So it grew quickly, but the leaves they were nice and uniform. This was a really nice batch, and our friend was inspired to groom the leaf, take out some stem material, and he submitted it to a relatively new competition from the Meishan Farmers Association in Alishan tea growing region that is producing a black tea competition, a small leaf black tea competition. He was inspired because he thought the leaves were really nice and uniform. They had a lot of fresh qualities to them, young leaf material, and he liked the way it turned out. So he entered it into competition. It turns out they're still developing their quality standard, it appears. His friend last year achieved Jiang. Basically, Jiang means the top 2% or so of all entries. This year, there were considerably more entries than previous years, over 300 entries overall. His friend who won that top ranking award last year entered 6 batches this year, and they were all rejected. So they obviously changed their standard from last year to this year. And our friend who we sourced this from kind of went off his friend who won the top ranking award last year and also got his batch rejected. So we sourced this batch long before he entered into competition. It wasn't contingent. Our decision was not at all contingent on whether it won an award or not. We have enough experience observing these competitions and enough tea farming friends who enter these competitions who get lucky sometimes and get unlucky sometimes, like this one. We use our own quality standard to choose our choice picks, and this is one of them. We think it's a really good example of a small leaf black tea. It was carefully harvested. Our friend is becoming a new he bought a black tea rolling machine, I think 4 years ago now, and he's quickly becoming the go-to tea roller for his neighbors and friends who are typically oolong tea makers but are using their summer batches to produce black tea more and more. So he's done a lot of research in the last 3 or 4 years in making black tea, both for his own produce and several other neighboring farmers. He's also a professional tea judge at the Lugu Farmers Association Dongding Oolong Tea Competition, the largest oolong tea competition in the world. He works at the Tea Research and Extension Station doing outreach to farmers and tea makers in many ways, providing seminars. They do tea tasting courses. He's really full on into the industry here on the ground, and he gets a lot of exposure to professionals all over the island. And he is heir to an artisan oolong tea making tradition from his father and grandfather, and we have sourced our Dongding Tie Guanyin oolong from him, as well as other teas. Let's go for a sip of the 5th brew to see how it held out. This was probably 1 minute 15 seconds. It's lighter in consistency. a bit more astringent on the palate, but flavorful. I'm gonna go back to brew 2 here. Okay, 2 is definitely the peak. Brew 2, very malty, very full-bodied, also tangy, a really nice wide spectrum of flavor and aroma. 3, excuse me, 3 is very similar, a little bit lighter. I can't resist. I'm gonna go right back to 2 and do all of it. Yeah, it's that rich malty quality, that molasses kind of note, along with tangy, fruity, stone fruit kind of notes that, to me, mark the personality of this tea. 4th brew, yeah, it's getting lighter. It's not a super enduring tea. I think 4 brews, 5 brews are okay. You can make the ratio higher, brew more tea leaves for a less amount of time, and get more steepings if that's what you're going for. This is a combination of brews 1 through 4. Still warm in the big cup. Really nice. Yeah, to me, small leaf black tea wins overall. It just has a sweeter and more aromatic flavor profile than large leaf black teas, in my experience. I'm an oolong child at heart. That's where I started, so maybe it has something to do with that. There's more complexity, in my experience, of black teas made from the small leaf type tea strains. So there we have it. Batch 94, YIng Xiang Small Leaf Black Tea. You can brew it, cold brew is a good idea. If it's still warm where you are, you can brew 5 grams per liter, put it in the fridge overnight, and then drink it all day the next day. You can brew it hot, chill it, and make iced tea out of it. Black tea is one of my favorite iced teas. Add a drip of honey if you like, or maybe lemon, but it doesn't need it, especially this one has a very complex profile on its own. I would at least encourage you to try it just straight and see how it goes as an iced tea. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next month.